I didn't think much of it at the time. I just wanted to disappear for a few days. No phone calls, no emails, no expectations. I was 27, burned out in a way that didn't show on the outside. I still went to work, still smiled, still answered messages. But inside, everything felt distant. That's when my coworker Mark mentioned Blackwater Island. "It's about 40 minutes off the coast of Harborview," he said. "One ferry per day. Most people leave before sunset." "Why?" I asked. He shrugged. "Nothing to do. No signal, no nightlife. Stay overnight and it feels like the island belongs to you." That should have been my first warning. The ferry left at 6:40 p.m. The sky was already fading into that dark coastal gray. Cold wind cut through my jacket as I stepped on board. There were only 6 passengers: a middle-aged couple who didn't speak, a young guy with a duffel bag, an older woman staring at the water, a man in a gray hoodie near the railing, and me, plus the captain. I remember the captain clearly, because he kept checking the rear camera over and over, like he expected something to be behind us. Halfway across, I stepped to the railing. The wake behind the ferry looked strange. You know how water smooths itself out after a boat passes? This wasn't doing that. The foam stayed disturbed longer than it should have. Then, I saw something floating. A piece of painted wood, bright yellow. It rolled once in the water and I caught 3 letters. W-A-T. Then it sank. Not drifted, sank. The man in the gray hoodie leaned toward me. "They don't like visitors who stay overnight," he said quietly. I laughed awkwardly. He didn't. Blackwater Island appeared slowly through the mist. No welcoming lights, no sounds, just dark shapes of trees and a small dock. My rental cottage was a short walk from the ferry landing. Small, 1 room, thin walls, surrounded by thick trees that pressed close to the windows. Too close. The locks on the door were brand new. Heavy deadbolt, solid chain. Strange for such a peaceful island, but I ignored it. The first few hours were quiet. I walked along the shoreline, and that's when I noticed something else. No dogs barking, no insects, no distant voices, just wind and water and silence. Too much silence. Around 10 p.m., I realized my phone wasn't charging. I tried every outlet. Nothing worked. Battery dropped to 2%. Then it died. There was no signal anyway. Still, it felt deliberate, like something had just cut my last connection to the mainland. I went to sleep early. Exhaustion pulled me under fast. I woke up at 2:17 a.m. I don't know why, but the second I opened my eyes, I heard it. Gravel, slow, measured footsteps, right outside the door. Crunch, pause, crunch. My entire body went rigid. The footsteps stopped, then started again, closer, directly at the door. A flashlight beam slid under the crack at the bottom. White light, steady. Someone tried the handle. Once, twice, harder. The chain rattled violently. Then 3 loud bangs hit the door. The cottage shook. Then silence. Absolute silence. I crouched behind the door, barely breathing. That's when I heard a voice. Calm, low. "I know you're in there." My stomach dropped. Then he said my name, my full name, exactly as it appears on my ID. I had told no one on the island. No one. The footsteps moved along the side of the cottage, circling, slowly, like he was enjoying it. This went on for maybe 20 minutes. Then I heard a small boat engine start near the cove. It pulled away into the ocean, and the island returned to silence. At sunrise, I stepped outside. Boot prints circled the entire cottage. Heavy boots, deep impressions in the gravel. They led towards a small hidden cove behind the trees. In the sand, I saw the outline where a small motorboat had been pulled in. Not the ferry, something smaller, personal. Someone had come specifically for me. When I returned to Harborview later that day, I asked the captain about the man in the gray hoodie. He frowned. There was no man in a gray hoodie. I insisted. He checked the passenger manifest. 6 passengers. The couple, the older woman, the duffel bag guy, a delivery worker, and me. That's it. But I counted 7. I'm sure of it. And here's the part I still can't explain. When I looked back at the ferry's rear camera monitor before leaving, I noticed something frozen in the last recorded frame. The wake behind us, still disturbed, like something had followed us all the way to the island, and maybe never left. I should have left immediately. That's what a normal person would have done. But here's the thing about fear. It doesn't always make you run. Sometimes it makes you want answers. And that was my mistake. After seeing the boot prints and the indentations in the sand, I stood there longer than I should have. The ocean was calm, too calm. No small boat in sight, no distant engine noise, just empty water stretching to the horizon. If someone had come for me, they were already gone, or watching. That thought hit me suddenly. Watching. I turned slowly. The tree line behind the cottage looked thicker in daylight. Dense branches tangled together like they were deliberately hiding something. I told myself I was being paranoid. Still, I didn't go back inside. Before catching the afternoon ferry back, I decided to return the key to the rental owner in person. Her name was Margaret, late 60s, soft voice, polite smile. Her house sat near the dock, the only one with flowers in the yard. When she opened the door, she looked surprised to see me. "You're leaving early," she said. I nodded. "Something happened last night." Her smile faded slightly. "What kind of something?" "There was someone outside the cottage," I said. "He tried the door, said my name." For a second, just a second, her expression changed. Not confusion, not concern. Recognition. Then it was gone. "That's impossible," she said gently. "No one goes near that side of the island at night." "How would you know?" I asked. She held my gaze longer than comfortable. "Because," she said quietly, "everyone here locks their doors before dark." That answer didn't make sense. I left the key on her kitchen counter. Her eyes followed me all the way out. The ferry arrived at 3:10 p.m. Same captain, same quiet dock, but fewer passengers this time, only 4 boarding for Harborview. I stepped onto the deck and immediately looked around. No gray hoodie, just a couple from yesterday, the duffel bag guy and me. As the ferry pulled away, I stood near the captain. I didn't want to, but I needed to ask. "You're sure there wasn't a man in a gray hoodie yesterday?" He didn't look at me. "I keep records." "That's not what I asked." He exhaled slowly. "We had 6 passengers total." I counted 7. He finally turned to face me. "You're not the first person to miscount," he said. That sentence stuck with me. Not the first person. "What does that mean?" He didn't answer. Instead, he glanced at the rear monitor again, and for the first time, I looked at it too. The wake behind us, white foam spreading across dark water. Except it wasn't symmetrical. One side looked heavier, like something was displacing water just beneath the surface, moving with us. I swallowed. "Has anyone ever gone missing from the island?" The captain hesitated, then said, "People leave." "That's not what I asked." He didn't respond. The moment I stepped off the ferry, my phone buzzed back to life. Full signal. Battery dead, of course. But once I charged it at a cafe nearby, notifications flooded in. Missed calls, emails, normal life. But there was one message that didn't make sense. Unknown number, sent at 2:24 a.m., the exact time the man had spoken outside my door. It was just one sentence. "You shouldn't have stayed." No caller ID, no previous messages.
I stared at the timestamp, 2:24 a.m., while I was crouched behind the cottage door, while he was outside. My stomach twisted. There was no service on the island, none. So how had that message been sent? And more importantly, how did whoever sent it know I had stayed overnight? I couldn't shake it. The gray hoodie man, the missing passenger count, Margaret's reaction, the captain's comment, "You're not the first person to miscount." That night, I searched online for anything about Blackwater Island. News articles, forums, travel blogs. Nothing recent. But buried in a discussion thread from 6 years ago, I found something. A comment, anonymous. It read, "If you stay past sunset, you'll meet the extra passenger." No replies, no context, just that. The extra passenger. My heart pounded. The next day, I called Margaret, straight to voicemail. I left a message. "Hi, it's the guest from Cottage 3? I had a question about last night." No response. I tried again the next day. Number disconnected. Disconnected. I checked the rental listing online. Gone. Completely gone. Like it had never existed. I even checked my bank statement. The payment was still there, but the business name attached to it was generic. No address, no phone number, just a processing company. That's when the fear changed. It wasn't about one man outside a door anymore. It was about something organized, something. I tried to convince myself it was stress, sleep deprivation, imagination filling in the blanks. But fear has a weight to it, and this didn't feel imagined. It felt layered, like something had started long before I ever stepped onto that ferry. I couldn't let it go, so I started digging, not casually, obsessively. Old maritime records, archived ferry schedules, property registries in Harborview. And that's when I found the first inconsistency. There had been a Blackwater Island ferry route, but it was discontinued 8 years ago. Official reason? Low demand and safety concerns. No elaboration, no details. I found a local forum thread from the same year. One post caught my attention. They said it was mechanical failure, but 3 people never made it back. No replies, no follow-up. 3 people never made it back. Through a public records request, I accessed an old ferry manifest from the final operating year. 6 passengers listed on the final documented overnight trip. 6 names. But in a scanned copy of the original handwritten log, there were 7 signatures. The 7th name had been crossed out, hard, aggressively, so hard it tore through the paper. The name was unreadable, but I could see something else. The crossed-out signature looked similar to mine. Not identical, but similar enough to make my chest tighten. Here's something I haven't told anyone. When I try to remember boarding that ferry, I can clearly remember stepping onto it, but I don't remember buying the ticket. I don't remember the clerk's face. I don't remember the exact moment I decided to go. It's like the memory starts mid-scene, like I was already there. That realization hit me hard, because memory gaps aren't normal, not like that. 2 weeks after my trip, I received another unknown call. I answered this time. Silence, then ocean wind, then a faint mechanical hum, like a ferry engine idling. I didn't speak, neither did the caller. After about 10 seconds, I heard footsteps, slow, measured, crunch, exactly like gravel. My heart slammed into my ribs. Then, a voice, calm, low. "You counted wrong." The line went dead. That sentence haunted me. You counted wrong. I replayed the ferry scene over and over in my head. The couple, the older woman, the duffel bag guy, the hoodie man, the captain, me. 6. But what if I was wrong about who the extra passenger was? What if the hoodie man wasn't the anomaly? What if it was me? I went back to Harborview one last time, determined to stand on that dock again, to ground myself in something real. But when I arrived, there was no dock labeled for Blackwater Island, no sign, no ticket booth, nothing, just a general ferry terminal. I asked an older employee if he remembered the Blackwater route. He stared at me longer than comfortable. "Son," he said slowly, "Blackwater Island hasn't had residents in decades." Residents. That word hit differently. "What do you mean?" "It was declared uninhabitable after the erosion damage. No utilities, no rentals, no permanent structures left standing." I felt the air leave my lungs. "That's not possible. I stayed in a cottage there." He shook his head gently. "There are no cottages on Blackwater Island." I drove home in a fog, still trying to piece everything together. That night, I opened my phone gallery. I knew I had taken photos, the shoreline, the cottage, the dock. But when I scrolled, there were no pictures from that weekend. None. Not deleted, just absent. Except for one. A single blurry image taken at 2:18 a.m., time-stamped the exact minute after I woke up. The photo was dark, grainy, but I could make out the inside of the cottage door, and, faintly, through the thin curtain, a shape, standing outside, facing in, not moving, watching. But here's the part that stopped my breathing. The reflection in the window glass. The angle showed both outside and slightly inside, and in that reflection, I wasn't crouched behind the door. I was standing outside, on the gravel, looking in. That's when it hit me. The ferry, the miscount, the missing passenger, the crossed-out name, the memory gaps, the text message sent with no signal. What if Blackwater Island doesn't add passengers? What if it replaces them? What if someone stays overnight and someone else returns? 6 passengers leave Harborview, 6 return, but not the same 6. There's always an extra and always one missing, but nobody notices because nobody remembers correctly. Last detail. I don't sleep well anymore. Not because of footsteps, not because of phone calls, but because sometimes